Hey guys, welcome to another video from earnped.com. Let's take some big sips to get us started today. This one's extremely important, guys. Players are being kidnapped in-game, so I'm going to show you how easy this is. I've got my friend Soggy here with me. He's volunteered to help me, so I'm going to take my quad, and I'm just going to more or less drop it on top of him. And here in a second, he's going to be spamming F, and there we go. He's spamming F, and it asks if I want to add him to my guest list. I say yes, and I remove princess, and I submit changes, and okay, and bam, now Soggy's on the guest list, and now guess what? Soggy's actually in my quad. That's him, right there. So now, I can get in my quad, and guess what? Now I can take him wherever I want. This is kind of a problem. See how we're just bouncing up and down? I can take him literally into space if I want. And this is exactly what's happening. So, let me get Soggy out of here, and let me explain why this is a problem. So, let me explain why this is an issue. So, I didn't want to publicize this because this has been something that has been known to be an issue for a little bit over a month and a half now. But about a month and a half ago, there was a couple of players that had an issue. They got kidnapped. They got taken into lootable space, which you have to go pretty far into space to hit lootable space. And they got looted against their will. So let me explain what happened and why I'm now having to explain this to you guys. I literally just filed a support case with Mindark saying this is stupid easy. I can even demonstrate it in a video in about 2 seconds. So what happened was there were some players, mainly they were after high-level Uber players who were deliberately botting the game out in the open, who were just out hunting like I would be here with Soggy and the rest of the guys. As you can see, we've got quite a few green dots on the screen here. So it was higher level Ubers who were botting out in the open, and somebody got the brilliant idea of, hey, all I have to do is drop a quad wing on top of their head. It will more or less, because they're spamming F, access the guest system and ask if I want to add them. I add them to the guest system. Bada bing, bada boom, the next time they spam F, it's going to put them in my quad, and then all I have to do is take them into space. Now, you do have to fly quite a ways into space in order to get to lootable PvP, but that person would then have a cohort in lootable PvP who was waiting for them, and when they entered lootable PvP, the person flying would get shot down by the cohort that had been waiting, and then the cohort would loot the Uber player and take all their goodies. This even happened to somebody live on stream. There was a streamer who was running a live stream through Twitch, but he wasn't actually sitting at a computer playing. He was accessing the keyboard through his phone. And through his phone, he essentially had a button where he could just tap F over and over and spam F. So he's streaming. He can see his stream live on Twitch. And he's using his phone as his keyboard so he could hit F and spam F, but that was more or less all he could do. He had very limited capabilities. He didn't have full access to a full keyboard. And because of that, somebody came and dropped a quad wing on top of him. He spammed F. It asked if they wanted to add him to the guest system. He said yes by hitting F again. Well, the player said yes at that point. Then he hits F again. It adds him to the quad wing. He's now inside the quad. The person takes him into space and loots him. And there was nothing he could do but helplessly sit by and watch, because he limited himself to where he could only hit F through his phone. He didn't have the ability to right-click. Normally, you just right-click, and if you're in a vehicle, you right-click on the vehicle and put exit vehicle, and it will drop you from space. In fact, I will show you guys exactly what you do. Let's say this was to happen to you. You're in the vehicle. Somebody is lifting you towards space. You don't want to go. Let me show you how easy this is. You hover the mouse over the vehicle, you right click, and you hit exit seat. You then drop from the vehicle. You will hit the ground and go splat. You will die. Bam. Easy. All you have to do is do that before you get to space. That's it. It's literally that simple. Now the problem is, if you're a high-level player and you're botting, you're not going to be sitting in front of your computer, so you're not going to be able to exit that seat. You're just going to get taken into space and get looted. And if you're limiting yourself to where you can only access the game through your phone and you can only hit F, then you're not going to be able to right click and hit exit seat. That's going to be a problem. You're probably going to get taken to space. You're probably going to get looted, right? So I didn't put this out there because it really is bad publicity for the game. I don't like that, and I was hoping that this issue would get resolved and there wouldn't be copycats. Here's the problem. Here's the reason I'm telling you guys about this and showing you how it works, explaining the mechanics to you, and explaining how to handle it should somebody start to do it to you. I'm now getting reports that this is happening to low-level players, not just high-level players, and that this is being done by other low-level players. A very good friend of mine, Azure Dragon, literally sent me a message earlier, and as you can see, it says abduction stories. And he asked me, he said, I have a question. He said, this is what happened to me today. Are there stories of people being abducted? And he proceeded to literally tell me exactly what I just showed you guys, which I knew it instantly what he was talking about. Because, like I said, this has been going around PCF on the forum for about 6 to 8 weeks now. This event with the streamer and some of the Ubers happened about 6 to 8 weeks ago. And I started to put it out there for you guys, but like I said, I didn't want to because it really is really bad. It doesn't look good on the game that this is doable or that it's so stupid easy. So that's not really something I wanted to put out there. I kind of thought that it would just kind of get taken care of and go by the wayside. And honestly, I didn't want to inspire copycats. This is not good. Even if you're somebody who is totally against high-level players botting, whether it's in an event, an instance, or in public, this is not the proper way to handle it. And if you think this is a fast, easy way to get a cash grab, you are dead wrong, because this is interfering with somebody else's gameplay, which is against the terms of use. And if MindArk finds out that you did this to somebody, not only are you probably in for a permaban, but any loot that you got from that person, MindArk is probably going to give right back to them. So it's not going to be a quick money grab either. So Dragon told me, he said, I was on Entropia hunting vixens. Now, he can't have had much loot on him because he's hunting vixens for the vixen gear because they've got markup. He's a lower level player, and that's nothing wrong. Dragon's a good dude. But just needless to say, this is not something that's only affecting Ubers now. This is affecting people on Rocktropia hunting vixens. I mean, this is something that could affect people at North Swamp Camp or even Camp Icarus. So there was another player who I will not name. That will be left up for MindArk to deal with. But there was another player who was clearly a low-level player. And not even mid-level. This was a pretty new, pretty low-level player. And he kept just constantly trying to drop his quad on top of Dragon. And finally he did, and Dragon ended up in the quad, and next thing he knows, Dragon's being taken up towards space. So Dragon did the right thing. He right-clicked, and then he jumped out, and he died and just revived, just like I just did. And he said, you know, what's going on here? Did I do the right thing? What? Yes, Dragon hit it on the head. He knew exactly what this person was doing. This person was going to drag him into lootable PvP, where this person had a cohort waiting that would then shoot them down, kill Dragon, and take all of his lootable loot. Now here's the problem. Like I said, this is not an Uber player who was botting. This is a lower level player, and this was not done by somebody who's a high level player that's targeting high level players. This was done by a new player who is also a low level player. So people are clearly seeing the information on PCF, finding out that it's possible, and then going out and trying to be copycats in hopes of a quick money grab. This is not good. And the reason this entire thing works is the mechanics of the vehicle guest list. Whenever I spawn my quad on top of you, if you spam F the first time you do it, it requests to be added to the guest list, just like Soggy just requested to be added to the guest list by spamming F. The second time you spam F, it will actually put you into the quad, assuming I've gone ahead and added you to the guest list when I got prompted to do so. This is bad all the way around. Dragon didn't even know that he had asked to be added to the guest list. He did. It just all happened so fast, he didn't see it. He didn't catch it. Because he was sitting there so busy spamming F, he didn't even notice that it said, you've requested to be added to the guest list. So this is not good. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the game. It's not good for MindArk. And even if you're somebody who is only targeting high-level players that are botting, it's not good even in that instance. Even if you totally disagree with high-level botting, this is not an appropriate way to handle it. So actually, right before I made this video, I sent a support case to MindArk, and I said, look, this is clearly a problem. It's been on the forum, and now we're starting to see copycats. I really don't have a choice but to warn people, to let them know that this is happening. I really didn't want to do that because I didn't want to be the one to inspire the copycats. I didn't want to be the one to put the information out there. I said, we really need you all to do something about this mechanic. It should not be this easy. Whenever you request to be added to somebody's guest list, once they add you to that guest list, you should then have to confirm it, almost like a trade. So even if you drop your quad on top of me and I spam F and accidentally ask to be added to your guest list, if you add me, I should then get a notification of some sort that says, you've been added to this person's guest list. Was this your intention? And you should have to say yes. You should have to actually do something other than just spam F, because the way it's currently set up, whenever you're doing it, you're not even realizing you're doing it a lot of the time. And that's where the problem comes in for people who are not botting, for people who are not AFK, who are legitimately playing, is they're sitting there spamming F and people are interfering with their gameplay. This is not okay. So I want to let you guys know that it's happening because A, I want you to see how easy it is. B, I want you to understand the mechanics of what's happening. The first time the person hits F and the quad's been spawned on top of them, they're actually activating the request to be added to the guest list. The player on the other end is then just simply adding them to the guest list, and then the second time they spam F, that's how they're ending up in the quad. But I also want you guys to see that all you have to do is right-click on the quad, and at the very top it says Exit Seat. Simply click on Exit Seat as the option, and it will pop you out of the quad, and you just fall to the ground and die, and revive at the nearest revive terminal. There's plenty of time between being picked up on the ground, and by the time you get high enough to reach space, to do this. You can even exit the vehicle once you're in space, and you can even hotkey some of these features from the action library. But I wanted to let you guys know about it now because this issue has gotten to where it's now affecting lower level players, and it's being perpetrated by new players who are also lower level players. So this is no longer just a big boy problem. This is no longer just something that affects streamers that are, using their phone to hit F and don't have access to a full keyboard. It's not something that's just affecting high level players who are Ubers that decide to do something stupid like bot, and especially something very stupid like bot in public in the open, and just aren't anywhere near their computer. This is now potentially affecting everybody. And it's something that MindArk is probably going to be forced to deal with. I'm sure they're probably already working on it, but I went ahead and I sent in my support case to let them know my support for a change to this system so this isn't doable. Because this is not how Entropia works. This is not something that we do. This is not appropriate, nor is it something that shines a good light on the game, which is why it's all around just leaving a very, very bad taste in my mouth. A, that it happened at all 6-8 weeks ago, but B, now especially that lower level players are seeing this on PCF, thinking that it's a money grab and appropriate, and then starting to do it to other lower level players. That's very much not acceptable at all. And again, I didn't publish this content earlier because I did not want that to happen. I didn't want to tell people what's happening and show them all the bad, and then go, aha, money grab. And then you have a whole bunch of noobs and a whole bunch of low-level players that start trying to do exactly that. That's very bad. It's bad for the game, the players. It doesn't shine well on the game. It doesn't make us look good to the world at large, which is why I didn't put it out there. But since it's now starting to happen anyway because they're coming across this info on PCF, I need to at least take the time to warn you guys and show you the mechanics of it. So if this happens to you, what do? Well, number one, immediately hover your mouse over the vehicle, be it a sleep, be it a quad, whatever, that's in the process of taking you to space, and right-click on that vehicle. Hit that exit seat button and simply drop down to the planet, die, and revive. You'll be fine. Number two, be sure you get the name of the player who did it, and immediately file a support case. Let MindArk know who it was. Let them know what they did, that you were just minding your own business. This is not somebody you talked to, not somebody you asked for a ride, and they just came and started spawning their vehicle on top of you. And the next thing you know, you're headed to space. And if, by some odd chance, they get you into space and all the way through space to a PvP lootable area, which there is not many, you have to really fly quite a ways through space in order to get to PvP lootable. But should it actually happen, and should they actually manage to loot you, let MindArk know, because MindArk can deal with it. Those ill-gotten gains, I would think, I can't speak for MindArk, but I would think they could be reversed, because you are not allowed to interfere with somebody else's gameplay. The only time you can interfere with somebody else's gameplay is if that person is willingly in a PvP area, and the only time you can take something from somebody else is in a PvP lootable area. So what I mean by that is, example, normally I can't mob train. I can't go get hundreds of mobs to start chasing me with the sole intention of taking them somewhere to kill somebody and feast on their bones. Normally. But if the person is stupid enough to be in a PvP area, lootable or non-lootable, I can. And this actually happened with an exceedingly famous, exceedingly high-level player a couple years ago to me. I was at Ashy Rig in the PvP non-lootable area, and I was mining. And I hit a pyrite claim. And this very high-level player that I could never possibly even begin to take down in my life shot me multiple times. I was trying to mine my pyrite out of the ground, and said, "You will never get that claim out of the ground." I said, "Oh, really?" I'll just tell you guys, it was Joda. So Joda just straight up told me, "You're not getting to your pyrite claim." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So he killed me like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, how am I going to deal with this? Because there's no way I can take Joda down. First of all, his HP's insane. Second of all, his weapons are, 5 times what mine would be in terms of DPS. He's got amazing healing tools, and he's got the best armor in game to boot. So I was like, how am I going to deal with this? So I went and got my little starter jeep out of storage, and between the revive terminal and the outpost where you go when you die at Ashy Rig and Ashy Rig itself, there is a sea of dinos. There's just an ocean of dino mobs between the outpost and Ashy Rig. So I took my little starter jeep, because it's quick, and I just started driving through the sea of dinos. And by the time I got back to Ashy Rig, I looked like that scene in Jurassic World where they're about to go over the cliff and the volcano's erupting, and they've just got a sea of dinosaurs chasing them. That's what it looked like when I came into Ashy Rig, with hundreds and hundreds of mobs behind me. And I drove straight to Joda. And man, he actually, I do have to give it to him, I was really impressed by his HP. He tried to stay alive for about 30 seconds. He pulled out his FAP and started fapping, and they were just feasting on his bones. And he finally just logged out completely, because he realized there was no way. He wasn't going to get out of it. He was just going to die and then have to revive somewhere else. He wasn't going to be able to heal, and he really didn't want the, I guess it would be disgrace of me finding a way to deal with his high HP and the fact that I can't just pull out a weapon and kill him. So, while mob training like that would normally be disallowed anywhere else in game, it is allowable in PvP areas, lootable or non-lootable, because you're in a PvP area. So if somebody was to do this to you where they drop a quad on top of you and are forcibly trying to take you somewhere, so long as you're not in a PvP area, then that's not okay. That's a terms of use violation. That's interfering with somebody else's gameplay. Even if you're in a PvP area, for somebody to try and do this to you in PvP non-lootable, I would still say it's against terms of use. Because even if you're in PvP non-lootable, the person is doing it with the express indication of trying to take you to PvP lootable, somewhere you do not want to go. So I would still say it's a terms of use violation, and it's still interfering with the gameplay. So if it happens to you, get the person's name, mark down the exact time in game, and file a support case immediately to let MindArk know what's going on, who did it, what happened, all the nitty-gritty details, so they can take care of it. And like I said, on the off chance you do end up all the way through space, all the way to lootable PvP space, which, guys, it takes a solid 5+ minutes, I'm going to guess, to get from just space outside of a planet to a lootable area in space. It takes a good solid, 5-minute flight. It's a good flight to get there. It's not like you're just going to pop into space and immediately be in PvP lootable. So, that being said, even if they could get you all the way there and actually kill you and loot you, still let MindArk know, because those are still ill-gotten gains and very possible reversible. So that would be up to MindArk, but this unfortunately is an issue, and I'm hoping that MindArk deals with it sooner rather than later, so that it is not that easy to just add somebody to a guest list, to just take somebody into space against their will. So guys, I will leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Guys, if this happens to you, please, please, please file a support case immediately. Guys, head over to earnped.com, because if you earn, we earn. It's by far the best way you guys can help to support us. Simply use the links on earnped to go to hideout.tv. Hideout will automatically add us as a redemption option for your hideout points. Guys, as you can see, I added a banner to the bottom of the screen that tells you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Please be sure and do all three of those things, because when you subscribe and hit the bell icon, that keeps you up to date with all the latest content that we post. That keeps you up to date with all the stuff that's going on inside of Entropia Universe. And when you hit that like button, you help us to combat the haters and the trolls on every single video. And that means a great deal to us. It really does. But even more, when you hit those three buttons, YouTube gives our videos more exposure. It puts our videos in front of people who are into PC gaming, MMOs, and real cash economy gaming. Oftentimes, it's the first time that person's ever heard of Entropia. They start watching the videos. They start learning how to play smarter, not harder. Next thing you know, they're joining the game, starting their journey at Camp Icarus, and then North Swamp Camp, and then off to Twin Peaks, and then off into the universe. And we're getting more and more messages every week from those people telling us exactly that. I was on YouTube. I'd never heard of Entropia. I started seeing your videos. I started watching them. Here I am. I'm loving the game. Now it's my passion. Now it's my hobby. So please let your viewers know that we really, really appreciate that they hit those buttons and got your videos the exposure for the videos to land in front of us. It means a great deal, because now we're totally all about this game. So I want you guys to hear these messages from these people, because you guys are having a tremendous impact. It's not me making the videos. It's you guys who are being sure that these videos get the reach and are put in front of these people. You guys are getting new players into Entropia. You guys are growing the community and growing the economy and growing the game. And that is really hats off and a big round of applause to you guys. And it's all because you hit those three little buttons. So guys, please keep it up for us, for the community, for the economy, and for the game. I'll leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Take care, Stevies.